Good morning, all. Game Methuselah here. I'm about to do the little home stretch here, which is just the final sanding up and then priming and mounted up on a base and all. Quickly, some people had asked information about the plastic putty I was using. Somehow I thought I had shown it in the first video, but in case I missed it, it is Vallejo. They make a lot of really nice paints. You can pretty much find them in any real hobby shop. You can also obviously order it online. It's 100% acrylic resin, and it works, like I said, real good with the plastic miniatures, as I showed you the other day. And since it's water soluble, it makes it much easier to work with than some of the other squadron putties. Anyway, so basically the putty went in. I was all happy with it. I took my X-Acto knife and just started to clean where there were some small pieces of resin that had just overran the molding, or I guess it's not really molding. Somebody keeps telling me this is 3D printing, and I'm actually kind of stunned to believe that, because no matter what, I cannot see any layer lines. So if it's 3D printing, the technology has obviously gotten a lot better. So I picked out my sandpaper here to do just some final sanding. Now, the interesting thing about this is the sandpaper when I get in a set I throw away. It is essentially useless. I effectively have written on paper that was coarser than this sandpaper. But for this work, it's been perfect. You just go in or on the edges where there might be a little flash, and it does a great job of picking it out. You can do the edge pieces. The great thing about some sandpaper that's this fine is you pretty much cannot take away any detail. You're not going to be sanding it unless you sit there for minutes after minutes and just sand and sand and sand. Can you really get any headway? But what it does, it picks up the little incidental flash that sometimes gets on these pieces, and then cleans that off. Now, again, after I prime it, we'll do a final inspection to make sure I didn't miss anything, and we'll be good to go. So I've already done most of this. It's all pretty much ready. You can see how the plastic is all filled in. I'm pretty much hoping and believe it's going to essentially, after I prime it, you'll see these molds should disappear completely. You won't see any mold lines at all. So now with all the sanding done, the last thing I'm going to show you is the base that the little dragon was on. Came with a large monster base. All I did is I stuck my 1-inch magnetic strip. This is kind of the rubbery magnets that they use on car signs, for like real estate agents and stuff, put it on their car because it sticks and then they can take it off without obviously marring the paint. I sanded the bottom down a little bit to get the magnet a little closer to the edge. I might sand it down a little more if I don't like the adhesion, though it seems at this point to work pretty good. Because there's quite a bit of magnet down there. It also makes the base kind of weight more, so it makes the figure a little more bottom heavy, which is what I kind of want. But the way the figure is casted, it sits pretty good, so I don't anticipate any problems. So what I'm going to go do now is I'm going to just mount the figure on a base, do some primer, and then I will be back and we'll take a final inspection on it. Alrighty, well, we got her based and primed and ready to paint. And I'm going to show you some stuff that's really good about primer. Now, I'm using a P3 primer. It's basically available in hobby shops. It's a little expensive, but I like it because it lays down pretty thin. You can look out there. Games Workshop makes some other good primer, but they're very proud of their material, so I don't use it unless I have to. The big piece in here that I had covered, I was worried about, obviously covered really, really well. Everything else worked out except when I found this little back piece here, and I don't know how well this is going to show up on the camera, if I can get this close, you can sort of see the line, and that is no bueno. So a little bit under here, you can kind of see the line too, and that's a little less problematic because it's not going to be really in a main field of vision. But basically what happened is when the putty dried, it kind of dropped down into the slot a little bit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back and do a little more putty work on it to finish it up and cover these pieces back in so they'll look better. And that's just me. And I suggest you do it too. I always feel that even if you're going to speed paint a figure, it's good to be anal retentive and getting it prepped, because you might do a fast job on it to start and then go back and want to do a better job. In fact, looking through the camera, I see a piece of flash that I missed too. This is also a great thing about priming a figure. Priming tends to pull up lots of the flaws that you have in the material that you may not have seen initially. Sometimes your eyes aren't as good, especially if you're my age. And you miss a few things, but the primary shows you what it's going to look like, kind of when it's painted, and shows you any defects that you're going to find that you're going to want to fix. I might even do something about this. It isn't really even a flux. I don't even think that's not part of where. Nah, I won't. That's actually the way it is. It's supposed to be just a deep fold in the skin of the dragon. So we'll leave that alone because it's not a seam. Anyway, there she is, ready to go. So I think next time you see it, I'll be slopping paint on her, and we'll go from there. But I'm going to do these last little few fix-ups, and the figure is ready to start painting. So until we see you again, fight me devils, fight, for I hate peace, and paint on.